One.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so yes, as you all know, I'm losing my voice, so excuse me sounding like someone else. Okay, so as I talked about, this was our review today, multiplying decimals in preparation for your practice test tomorrow. Okay, so you guys had four regular problems, and then on the back you had two word problems. Again, these two problems did not have hidden questions. These were straightforward word problems. The hidden questions that we started will help you when you take your actual mastery check when we get to the assessment for multiplying decimals and dividing decimals. Okay, but we're not at dividing decimals yet. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip number one. I think most of you had an opportunity to work with or to solve this problem earlier today. So I'm going to go ahead and move here. So when we have, when we're multiplying decimals, when we multiply decimals, we do not have to worry about lining up our decimals. When we add or subtract decimals, we do have to line up our decimals, but with multiplication, it does not matter. So I'm simply going to copy this problem so that I can do the algorithm. Okay, so I have 2 and 14 hundredths multiplied by 35 hundredths. And this one just happens to align when I line them up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything on the top by my ones. 4 times 5 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 more is 7. And then 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, I am all done with my ones, or technically my hundredths here. So I'm going to put my placeholder here. I've even told some of you, you can take a little post-it note so you don't get confused. You can even cover up that number that we've just finished multiplying, just so that the problem doesn't look as confusing. Okay, all right, now we're going to go ahead and multiply all the numbers on top by this number. So 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 more is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, I'm all done. I add up my numbers. 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 2 is 9. 0 plus 4 is 4. 6 plus 1 is 7. Now, step number 2. So this was step number 1. Multiply your two numbers. Ignore your decimal points. Don't worry about them. Step 2, now we're going to worry about them. Step 2 is counting the number of numbers that are located to the right of each decimal point. Now, this problem has two decimals, and there are numbers to the right of these decimals. Okay, so how many numbers do I have to the right of all decimals? I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, and I have 4. Okay, so I have 4 decimals to the right of both decimals altogether. So that 4, I'm going to start here with my product, and I'm going to move over 4 times, and that's where my decimal place is going to go. So I start here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so my decimal point goes right before the 7. Okay, now I want to talk about reasoning. When you move your decimal point here, think about it. 0.7490, it's about 75 hundredths. If I think about it in terms of money, it's about 75 cents. If I look at the original problem and I estimate, right, this is about 2, if I'm rounding, and this is about half, a little bit less than half. So if I say 2 times 1/2, that number, what's half of 2? 1, about 1. Is 75 close, 75 hundredths, right? Is that close to 1 whole? So if I think 75 cents to $1, yes, that's very close. Okay, so that is a reasonable answer. You are asked here to box your final answer. So this is my final answer, so I'm going to put a box around it. Okay, all right, I'm going to do one more sideways. So I'm going to do number 3. So 34 and 2/10. And I'm putting each number in its own box so I don't have to worry about getting any of my numbers mixed up. And then I have 16 hundredths. Okay, now here is a great example. Do you see how I'm not lining up my decimals? In multiplication of decimals, it does not matter. I do want to line up my numbers here because when I multiply, I need to have numbers in the same column. Okay, all right, so here we go. I'm going to take my little scratch piece of paper there. So those of you, again, who tend to get a little confused when you're doing your operation, right? This might help you. Okay, so I'm looking at the 6 and I'm multiplying all these numbers on top by my 6, and I always start on my right. 2 times 6 is 12. 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 more is 25. I regroup my 2. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 2 more is 20. Okay, I am all done with that 6. So I'm going to cover it up. Don't have to worry about it anymore. I'm going to put my 0 placeholder here since I'm done with my 1s. And now I'm going to multiply all the numbers on top by that 1. Again, starting from the right, moving to my left. 2 times 1 is 2. 4 times 1 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. I didn't have to regroup anything. Nice small numbers. And then I add. 2 plus 0 is 2. 5 plus 2 is 7. 0 plus 4 is 4. 2 plus 3 is 5. Okay, now I'm going to move this out of the way since I'm all done with my multiplication. So step number 2, count all of the numbers located to the right of all decimals. I have 2 decimals, so I'm going to count. How many numbers do I have to the right? I have 1, 2, 3. So I have 3 numbers located to the right of both of my decimals. I just add them up. So that tells me I start here and I move over 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So my decimal point goes in between the 5 and the 4. And again, I'm going to look for reasoning. Okay, is my answer reasonable in case I made a mistake in counting my numbers or something? If I'm looking at this number, it's about 5.5. Okay, if I look at this as money, right? $5.47 or about $5.50. Okay, I'm looking up here. If I round this number, 34, it's about 35, right? I could even round it down to a nice even 30. Okay, 16, I could round that up to a 20. What is 30 times 20? Mental math, I can do that. I can even write it out if I'm not great at mental math, right? What is 30 times 20? It's about 60, okay? Now take a look here at my number, right? I can count my decimal points too. 1, 2, 3, right? 0, oh, 2 zeros, sorry, 600. 2 zeros I'm moving over 1, 2, 3 times. Did I do that right? 1, 1, 2, 3. Right? 0.600. Did that work out right? 30. Oh, this is 0.20. Sorry, that's 2 numbers over. That's why that wasn't working. Okay, 2 times over. 1, 2. Right? That's whole number 6. If I look here, is this close to whole number 6? Yes, this is 5.5, but pretty close to 6. If I would have put my decimal point over here by accident, let's say I put 54 and 72 hundredths. 54 or 55 is nowhere near 6, right? So this would give me a clue that maybe I put my decimal point in the wrong place. Okay, so there you go. All right, let's do a word problem on the back. Again, no hidden questions in this. All right, it's straightforward. So Jill's basketball team had 13 basketballs, and I can even draw a picture, that weigh 2 6/8 pounds each. So here's my basketball. Okay, this one weighs 2.68 pounds. Now, Jill's basketball team had 13 of them. Okay, I can solve this many ways. I can write out this 13 times, 13 basketballs. Each one weighs 2.68 pounds. But do I want to do that? Do I want to do this 13 times? I can still get the same answer, but it's going to take me a long time. What's a faster way to do that? Well, multiplying, of course. I can multiply this number 13 times, right? There's my 2 numbers. The question is, how much do the basketballs weigh all together? Oop, that should be a question mark there. Okay, so how much do they weigh all together? So I'm going to go ahead and set up my problem. 2.68 times 13. That's a whole number here. There's no decimal. Okay, this does mean the same thing as 13. I could say 13. I could say 13.0. These mean the same thing. I didn't add a value here. If I added 0/10, I haven't added anything, right? Even if I did this, I've added nothing. There's no value here, okay? All right, so decimal times a whole number. I'm going to multiply. Okay, so again, I'm going to take my little scrap piece of paper. Right? Good habit for, again, those of you who feel like multiplying, right, not your strongest point. This is a great thing to do. Even on your test, if you want to do this, you're more than welcome to. All right, 8 times 3, 24. 6 times 3, 18, plus 2 more is 20. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 more is 8. Okay, I'm all done with my 3. I'm going to put my placeholder here. Now I'm going to cover up that 3 since I finished that. Now, multiplying all the numbers on the top by my 1. That'll be easy. 8 times 1 is 8. 6 times 1 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, I add up my numbers. That's a 4. 0 plus 8 is 8. 8 plus 6 is 14. Regroup my 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. Okay, step 2. Count my decimals. I have a decimal here. How many numbers do I have to the right of my decimal? I have 1, 2. This is a whole number. No decimals. I don't count anything there. Okay, so 1, 2. So I start here, move over 2 times. 1, 2. Okay, again, I want to check for reasonableness. What is my answer? How much do my basketballs weigh altogether? 34.84 pounds, right? Altogether. We can even do it in sentence form. I'm just doing this really quickly since I'm on video. But let's check for reasonableness again, right? Again, when you do your test, I would recommend you go through this multiplication process and check every single one of your calculations to catch an error, okay? But let's check for reasonableness. My answer is about 35 if I were to round. This is almost 35 pounds. Let's estimate. 13, even number. This is about 3, right, if I were to round. Okay, so I'm multiplying whole numbers here. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. My estimate should be about 39 pounds. Now, I overestimated because I moved the 2.68 up to a 3, right? But the basketballs don't weigh 3 pounds, so I know I'm overestimating. Okay, is 34 or 35 pounds close to 39? Yes, that is a reasonable answer. Okay. All right, guys, please make sure you have all 6 problems done. Please make sure you check all of your multiplication. Do it twice, okay? Check to make sure your answer is reasonable, that it makes sense. Please also make sure you show your work and you box your answer like I've asked in the directions. Tomorrow when you guys come in, we will review the answers to all 6 questions. I will answer any questions you may have. And then you're going to take the practice test for multiplication of decimals. All right? We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.